Alrighty, here we go. Live from Lexington, we are here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the central of the Buckeye State for race number 6, 2025 season of the Fuel Grand National Series here tonight. The Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Hi, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the one and only Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're getting set for a fantastic race here this evening. We approach the middle of the season. Here, the Fuel Grand National Series, the Peak Series, here for the Fuel Racing League. And a hearty good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's broadcast on the North American Sim Racing Network, live here on the NESRN. My name is Trey Ray, and of course we are joined alongside by the Colonel himself, Mr. Caleb Rose. Getting ready to kick things off here for race number 6 of the season. Caleb, you and I were talking a little bit in the pre-race just how arduous of a track this is here at Mid-Ohio. 13 turns and a ton of elevation changes. This track is going to be quite the challenge for these Fuel drivers here this evening, about 17 strong coming into race number 6 tonight.
Definitely very honored and excited to be back up here once again here for the Fuel Grand National Series. And yeah, like I was talking about, this racetrack it's just something else, man. Like I was talking about pre-race, it's pretty much about elevation change central, as there is a lot going to be in play in here tonight. But besides that, it's just a very, very technical and tight road course. You got a lot of tight sweeping corners, and even you have that long back straightaway as well down there in the turn number 4, which could definitely maybe even produce some chaos here tonight. I have to see how it all ends up playing out. But it's going to be a very fun one here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So while it is very, very, very technical racetrack, it usually produces some very fun racing, and it's going to be exciting to see what all we see here tonight.
Definitely is going to be a very exciting race. 25 laps are going to be on the docket for 75 miles. We get a good look at Dunlapra doing some two-wheel agricultural racing off of turn number 1, which is going to be one of the many trouble spots that we'll see here all evening long. There's a look at Jelaine Sims, number 06. Granger Camaro finished 3rd in the race at Chicago last week. In the round of Chicago at the Chicago Motor Speedway, Nicky Conti back in the Hot Topic number 85 machine. There's the Bummin Beaver Brewery number 29 of Rich Roy. And that Mazda for Millennium Autosport. All 4 Millennium Autosport cars once again on the grid. Some new paint for the 02 of Connor Edwards, now being sponsored by Bauer as he blinked in and out there for a brief moment. Glad to see a beautiful paint job there out of Blake Warren. Want to give him a big shout out. Speaking of Blake Warren, we saw him for a brief moment before he disappeared off of the server. He is in not only a new livery, he's also in a new number as well. Once that newly numbered 12 car will come out onto the circuit, talk about it a little bit more. Here is a brand new car. Emi Schizzato rocking the Casey Kane number 9. That Akiodos, the Acodius, I think that's the name of that sponsor, and that brand new, beautiful looking Camry there out of that 9 of Emi Schizzato. Of course, Rafael Sorensen in the 42 machine. Glad to see Ian Cooper back here after making their debut for the season last week at Chicago Motor Speedway. Got the 79, Kenny Campos. Rocking the John Surtees throwback with some Harbor Freight. New sponsorship there on that 79 car. Got very loose coming out of 1. He's able to hold on to it as we continue to flash through the field here with about 2 minutes to go in practice right now. No surprise to see Zach Rogers at the top end of the board. Have yet to see Zach out on the racetrack. Mr. September can add that to his list of nicknames as he swept it. I'm pretty sure he swept all the races he ran in September. He at least did it on the fuel side of things. He was on an absolute tear during the month of September here in NR2003 offline. So look at Andrew Estrada once again rocking the the Martini colors here on the road course. Same thing with RJ Bishop and that Mobile One machine with the Pegasus on the side. The Dark Matter Coffee number 86 Mazda of Ike Durbin. And of course, number 74 Hershey's car of Dunlop Prod. Rounding out pretty much all the cars that we've got here on track. So look at Vincenzo Focusato coming off of the pit lane, and Trek Togger, the Suburban Cowgirl Steakhouse number 60 car once again. Got about a minute remaining here in practice, Caleb. Like I said, this is going to be just an arduous track to drive, and we were talking about how much of a challenge it was on the heat games, and we know that those heat games were a little bit more of an arcade rather than a simulator. How hard is a track like this to drive in a simulator like NR2003?
Oh yeah, like we were talking about, the heat games were very arcade-like. The car was very light, and honestly, it seemed like every time you changed elevations, the thing just wanted to spin out. But I feel like here in NR, it's going to race a lot differently. These cars are going to be a lot heavier, and therefore I think definitely going to make it a little bit tighter, which definitely might not play into the best effect through a lot of these tighter corners. So definitely might make for some interesting challenge there for these drivers here tonight. But like I said, still expecting this race to be quite the interesting one, and we'll have to wait and see how it all ends up shaking out after the drop of the green flag. But the track definitely looks tight in some places, very plowy, and loose in others, like that turn one where it's honestly kind of bumpy. So definitely going to be a lot of car control involved here tonight, and we see going to victory lane pretty much be who we see placing their car the best, which so far seems to be that 88 of Zach Rogers here. At least in practice, he looks really dialed in right now.
He definitely does. We take a look at the track map at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Like you said, that opening corner there, as we get back there, that opening corner right here, that's turn 13, the little kidney bean out the back. But you go into turn number 1. We'll follow with RJ Bishop. We got 42 seconds to go, but we'll follow along with RJ Bishop starting into that opening corner. You see how bumpy it is and how light through the center of the corner these cars can get. But of course, this switchback here for turn number 2, as RJ is going to do a great job of sending it. Final destination moment. Heck yeah, boys and girls. Or as now we should say, hell yeah, for the new NASCAR tagline for next season. Caleb, is it just me, or does that just have the stupidity of boys have at it written all over it?
Kind of feels like it, but honestly, I don't know. It seems like they've been cooking some stuff over there the past couple days, and I'm intrigued.
I don't know. It's just, this is why I love the online. This is why I love NR2003, because there's very little nonsense when it comes to this game. Of course, we have our own interleague nonsense, and to call it nonsense is really just a little bit of an insult, as practice has ended. Zach Rogers at the top of the board, but to call this league nonsense is definitely not the proper way to go. But overall, just some of the stuff from real life NASCAR has been quite troubling, to say the least, Caleb. Of course, there's NASCAR completely pivoting against having playoffs. There's I don't know, there's the whole charter disagreement, and then there's Carson Hocevar getting fined because the next gen is terrible when it comes to flat tires. There's so many things that you can point out and gripe about in terms of just modern day NASCAR racing. And that's a good reason why people absolutely love the heck out of this game. Closing in on 23 years strong here in the next couple of months, in February of 2026. Be 23 years old. That's nearly as old as I am. It's older than you. So it's incredible how long this game has been able to survive, and we're hoping NASCAR 25 doesn't usurp NR 2003 in terms of sheer popularity. Of course, I don't think there's going to be a game as popular as NR 2003, but hopefully maybe NASCAR 25 can reignite it just a little bit, Caleb.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, I guess, with it being, in a way, published by maybe some of the same people who worked on this game. But yeah, I'm honestly kind of looking forward to NASCAR 25. But honestly, I just don't think it can hold a torch to what this game is and what it has become over these past 20 or so years. It has honestly been quite incredible just to see this game still to this day thriving and continuing, people continuing to make mods and stuff for this game. Even like the past year or so, we've been seeing a lot of people come out with some crazy mods. Like somebody just released what honestly kind of just looks like an updated version of N ratings. You have, free camera that came out in the last little bit, and also somebody developing a mod that lets you edit the track I in real time, which is going to be
That's huge.
crazy
That's
when it
huge.
comes to NR offline racing, especially. But yeah, it's just incredible to still see this game thriving to this very day. And while I do think, at least as I've looked so far, NASCAR 25 is definitely looking very bright, but still, it's going to take a lot, I think, to overthrow just the absolute masterpiece that this game is.
It definitely is. And like we said, NASCAR 25 in essence is the grandchild to NR 2003 if you think about it, because iRacing, it's got the same code as iRacing, so it's essentially the offspring of iRacing, and iRacing was the offspring of NR 2003. So it's really the third generation of this Papyrus-esque code that we've got here that's now 23 years old. So hoping for a good product, of course. You got all four of the main national series in the game. I'm excited because I can't wait to hop in the Rizz Motorsports number 31 car and right hook Alex Club, probably going 180 miles an hour at Daytona. That's the first thing I'm going to do once I get the game. But I also got to get a next-gen console as well, and I'm in the market of potentially getting a PC in the near future as well, because speaking of things that are a little bit long in the tooth, this PC closing in. We just passed the 5-year anniversary of this computer. Good old HP all-in-one desktop, and hopefully just trying to get the tower, like Talladega, like we saw from Alex over on AG, the channel. Hopefully trying to get something a little bit more powerful. We know last week we had some frame rate issues. We had some crashing issues. The frame rate stuff, that's on our end, so big apologies there. We're able to get a halfway decent product at the end of that race, but overall, things are looking pretty good so far in this game, and things are looking really good for Jelaine Sims, who's at the top of the qualifying board right now. Zach Rogers in second. I think Sims is going to take that pole away from Rogers, who is sitting on the pole for almost all these races so far this season. Laprade, Focusato, and Emi Schizzato, the top 5. I don't think we have any late additions into the game here tonight. 16 drivers have put down a qualifying lap. The only one that is not put down a qualifying lap yet, I believe, did Rafaela Sorensen put down a qualifying lap? Yeah, she's in 7th. Nikki Conti 8th, Kenny Campos in 9th, and Ian Cooper rounding out the top 10. So I believe we should have 16 drivers in order for this evening's race. Here in just a couple of moments as qualifying getting wrapped up. I believe it is going to be Jelaine Sims sitting on the pole position in that number 06 machine. And it looks like it indeed will be. So everybody will roll off the pit lane. There's a look at Dunlaprod's number 74 cars. We'll take a look at qualifying. Ike Durbin and Tyler Stallhood. Oh, so Tyler is going to, in fact, make the race here this evening. A little late addition there for Tyler. Stallhood and Durbin rounding out the field in row number 9. And there was another 21st entry. I believe that was my previous entry. Here we got 10 minutes of happy hour. Forgot we are on the road course. We got a little bit extra of a pre-race show. So there's a look at Stallhood's number 7 machine coming into the server late. Glad to see that Castrol number 7 Toyota Camry out and about. Going to talk a little bit more here for the next 10 minutes, Caleb. It's certainly going to be a whale of a race. Looks like we got 17 entries on the card for tonight. So we take a look at the race analysis. We got 25 laps, 75 miles. Point of no return coming with 3 laps to go in this race. But again, it's about a 2.25 mile long road course. One of the longer road courses that we go to in the Fuel Racing League. We've going to 2 road courses, one on the season so far, or rather in the regular season with Watkins Glen, and then we were at the Pensacola Roval, which was a little bit shorter. I believe it was maybe about 2.75 of a mile long, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's going to be a big challenge for these drivers all the way around. And a good look at Blake Warren's fresh paint and fresh number, like we said a couple of moments ago before the drop of qualifying. Warren got the Ryan Blaney car going with a little bit of a combination sponsorship of Dutch Bros Coffee and Dutch Boy. Ryan Blaney, nice. Dave Blaney-esque looking car, looking pretty good as he rolls through turns 6, 7, and 8. The back end of the road course, a little bit tricky for us to get up here, but looks like it's going to be a fantastic race nonetheless. Some more drivers coming off. I believe we mentioned pretty much everybody. There's Brendan Whitford in the Aflac 131 car. Yeah, I believe pretty much gone down the whole running order or entry list of drivers that are starting tonight. Brendan Whitford top of the board right now in practice with about 7 minutes to go. But the Watkins Glen race, Caleb, went a little bit off of the rails, but last week at Chicago certainly went completely off of the train tracks with 8 cautions in that race. Hopefully we won't see as hectic of a race as we saw last week, but what are your expectations coming into this race tonight, our second road course race of the season? This Watkins Glen was pretty chaotic, but not as chaotic as we've seen on some of these ovals. What are you looking out for, Caleb, and who's your pick to potentially win this race tonight?
Well, it is an NR2003 road course. I guess I'll definitely say that first and foremost. So definitely, this could get quite chaotic, especially at a track like this, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. But definitely could also expect some really great racing, like I said, as we usually can see out of this racetrack as well. And for the pick to win, definitely could be up in the air, I guess, with it now being October 1st. But I don't know. I think Zach Rogers might become Mr. September and Mr. October. And I'd definitely be eyeing him to potentially get the win here tonight for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. But I definitely think that he might have some challengers with, of course, Dunlap, which we've seen really good here in these first couple races of the season, as well as Jolene Sims, who got that third place finish last time out of Chicago, has looked really solid here so far throughout the season, and just in qualifying swiped the pole away from the 88 at Rogers. So Rogers is probably my pick to win, but he might have some challengers here tonight, and could definitely make for a very fun battle.
He certainly is, and like you said, the pedigree of road course races we've got on the server so far tonight. You got the top 3 qualifying about a second faster than the rest of the field. Sims, Rogers, and LaPrade all qualifying in the 122 to 124 second range. Of course, Sims and Rogers, the 2 Team Velocity teammates, utilizing the same strategy, and Sims was able to get about 0.15 of a second faster of a lap than Rogers, and LaPrade 2 seconds back of those two. And then between LaPrade and Focusato was about a second, as Focusato rounding out the top 4 and Skibiddi in the top 5. I realistically think it's going to be a dogfight between Sims and Rogers, and LaPrade waiting in the wings. I think we'll more than likely get a combination of those 2 drivers, or those 3 drivers as the podium, the way that things sit on a sheet of paper. But again, we got 75 miles of racing. A lot can happen in 25 laps, and a lot can happen right on the start. We saw in that race at Watkins Glen how mucky things got right on the start. We've seen in these first couple of races how trigger happy these guys can go, and it is about as technical of a road course as it gets, with the elevation changes, the tight corners. It's a very, very, very technical road course that, hey, some IndyCar drivers struggle with. You see Dunlap doing some Nitro Circus racing there in that 74. They've just proven my point there. Just how technical of a track this is, how much the elevation this is. I think this race is going to play out a lot like the Sportsman race at CCIR we had a couple of months ago as Dunlop going in the Space Force, flipping that Hershey's machine upside down. That's how you know that he is locked in like Fort Knox right now, getting ready to get things going.
Yeah, like it's at a track like this, you never really know what the car is going to do. Like I said, there's definitely a couple bumpy spots on the track, which could definitely upset the car quite a bit, but there's also just those places where the car will just want to plow. We can kind of see both of those in turn one. Is like I said, the entrance very bumpy, it'll upset the car, and then once you get off the corner, it really kind of just wants to start plowing and can potentially cause some drivers to maybe overshoot that exit of turn one. But like I said, tonight's race is definitely going to be all about car control and managing your car throughout all of these corners, and definitely going to be very, very interesting to watch.
Definitely will be. As I think a dark horse for tonight's race would be Emi Schizzato as well, who's starting in 5th, as well as Vincenzo Focusato. That's been decent on the road courses. They're not exactly his forte, but he's starting in 4th, so we'll see what he's able to do, especially in this fight for the championship battle. Take a look at the point standings after the 5th race of the season. Got about 2 minutes to go here in practice, or realistically about 3 to go. I think it's safe to say that Zach Rogers has a really good shot at winning this championship with 7 races left in Season 7. But Apollo Hyde, who is not here tonight, is going to lose a couple of spots if Focusato is able to have a fairly good run in that 37 car. Of course, Nicky Conti, R.J. Bishop, and Tyler's rounding out the top 5. Tyler Stallhood, Ike Durbin right now rounding out the top 7. Jelaine Sims, Rafaela Sorensen, Emi Schizzato, the top 10 of the points right now. Blake Warren and Trek Togger falling down to 10th and 11th and 12th respectively. So in terms of the points, and just Focusato trying to take 2nd away from that number 100 machine. Especially going into this next slate of races. Next week we've got the Desert Derby presented by Pets.com at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Saw Apollo Hyde win the Sportsman race there. Then probably the wildest race we've had on the NASRN for fuel so far in this still very young partnership. And after Las Vegas, we got Talladega for the Ash Industries Silver Screen Showdown, then Pikes Peak, Autodrome St. Felician, and then Homestead for the final handful of races here. So we approach the midway point in season number 7. Of course, Apollo Hyde still absolutely raking in the full 2025 standings. She's going to be the odds-on favorite to win that championship overall here for 2025. Got a little bit to go here in practice. Rather happy hour, I should say. Totally forgot that happy hour on the road courses is at 10 minutes, so overall, gives us a lot to talk about. Here's a 28 machine, upside down and beached over on one of the high elevation changes.
Hanging in there like a cow.
Time has expired here in happy hour. Dunlop top of the board, being able to fix his setup just a little bit. Jelaine Sims, the pole sitter for tonight's 75-mile race, 25 laps on the docket. Getting ready to kick things off here for race number 6, the middle point, the middle post of this 11 race slate. Sims spinning out. I think that's going to pretty much do it here. So we'll send it down trackside in just a couple of moments to fire the engines for tonight's race here. The Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio coming at you. We still got about 45 seconds left, Caleb, so time is not quite out just yet. Checking things over. Yeah, we got about, I think about 10 seconds to go, so Everybody finishing up their Q laps, finishing up some of their happy hour stuff. Making sure everybody good to go. Yeah, we got an additional 30 seconds remaining. What the heck?
Hey, RJ Bishop got back on the wheels.
That's good. So I believe now we're in the final 15 seconds before the race is getting ready to kick off here. Sims spinning that 06 car. She'll be dangerous. She sits on the pole position. Sims goes down, and we'll go down as well. It's time to turn them on and grid them up here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, right in the heart of the Buckeye State. We'll send it down track side for the most famous words in motorsports. Kick off race number 6 of Season 7 of Fuel Grand National Series, the Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio.
Drivers, start your engines.
The engines roar to life here at Mid-Ohio, getting ready for 25 laps of action around one of the world's famous road courses here in the heart of Lexington, Ohio. And Jelaine Sims sitting on the pole position in the number 06 machine, her Team Velocity teammate of Zach Rogers, sitting right next to her in row number 1. We're already going to take the green flag here in just a couple of moments, and the green flag is out and away. We're live in Mid-Ohio.
Ooh, boogity.
Boogity indeed, and already everybody beginning to fan out through turn number 1. Sims, first one over Zach Rogers, the two Team Velocity teammates nose to tail. The field will go through the switchback here in turn number 2, and a clean start to start this race as Sims will lead the field down the back straightaway and heading towards China Hill, I believe it's called. China Beach, I should say, turns 4, 5, and 6 up this little elevation change. Everybody running single file to start things off. Double file back in here. Connor Edwards to the outside of Rich Roy in the number 29 machine. Ike Durbin trying to make some moves in the 86 car as well. Oh, one car off track. That's Ian Cooper. I believe he may have an issue, or he may have overshot the course. Not sure what the issue is there. But Sims and Rogers leaving everybody in the dust, and a little bit of a wide exit there for Sims. Here comes Rogers. Couldn't quite get it on there. The 06 going through turn 12. Can't get on the back end of Jelaine going through turn 13. Those two nearly touch out of 13. And Sims will go ahead and lead lap number 1.
Tight quarters racing here for the lead already here at Mid-Ohio. And surprised we were able to go the first lap pretty much clean.
Brendan Whitford is down the pit lane early here. Dunlapra not letting the top two stay away from him. Emi Schizzato has been able to be up in 4th, and RJ Bishop, the road course ringer, rounding out the top 5 right now. But it's Sims out front trying to get that first fuel win. Remember, these two have battled back and forth quite a few times here on the Grand National side of things. Got to go all the way back to both. I forget if Jelaine raced at Indianapolis. We certainly know that Sims raced against the 88 machine, then was the 97 at the Iowa Speedway in the Season 6 closer. But Sims has been close quite a few times. Of course, is the protege of Zach Rogers. These two teammates for Team Velocity, as I'm sure everybody is sick of us hearing. These two pretty much even in a class of their own. Dunlapra two-wheeling things going through turn number 11. He's able to hold on to it, and he will plant himself in 3rd and Rogers trying to find any way around that 06 machine as we complete lap number 2.
Jolene Sims doing a good job out here in the race lead, is keeping that 06 planted on the racetrack, being hounded by Rogers as Dunlop Prod two-wheeling it there through turn number 1, a little bit wide there from RJ Bishop. No harm, no foul. Field already starting to spread out quite a bit here from Mid-Ohio. And on the topic of Ian Cooper there in the 2, out of the race with a header issue.
Yeah, and someone going off course there off of turn number 1. Not sure who that was. But a header issue on the opening lap of the race, that is not what you want, Caleb, especially at a track like this.
That might have been an RNG mech fail too, which is such a punch to the heart there. That's really, really unfortunate there for Cooper.
Rogers and Sims nearly going side by side. Rogers nearly got into the quarter panel of that 06 car.
These two are going at it up here. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and Sims is absolutely trying to keep that 88 car right behind her. Doing a whale of a job, however, in that number 06 machine. Has led all 3 laps so far. And Rogers, I think that this is the most competition that Zach Rogers has had all season long. Of course, these two is look at LaPrade in the back, pretty much flipping that Hershey's car over. But these two have been on top of one another for the better part of every race that they've been in. Of course, they were racing together very hard at Chicago. They were racing very hard at Darlington. And as Sims has been part-time whenever she's been able to make any of these races, and just absolutely beating the pants off the rest of the field with her teammate in tow. But again, Rogers is one of the smartest racers that we know, and that he's likely conserving his tires right here instead of going full attack. We know that Sims is going mostly on the defensive side of things, but that's going to eat up a lot of rubber. When you're going mostly on the defense on an aggressive driver, an aggressive but cunning driver like Rogers, you know that it is more likely that you screw up rather than Rogers screws up. And I think Rogers biding his time, waiting for that 06 to use up some of her stuff. She's going to go off course. An incredible save out of Jolene. These two side by side. Can Rogers get the run on the inside? It looks like he is. And that was the mistake we were just talking about, right on cue. Rogers making his way through. Mr. September looking to start October off to a great start. He's able to get around his teammate for our first lead change of the evening.
Great move there by Zach Rogers, and a great save as well by Jolene Sims. They went really far off the track, but managed to hang on to it and get back on the track safely. But yeah, that's exactly what you were talking about. Like you said, happened right on cue. Sims was doing some great defensive driving, but yeah, doing all that can really eat up your tires quite a bit. We can see that a lot here at these road course races, especially like here in Mid-Ohio, where there is a lot of sweeping tight corners. So Jolene Sims trying to hang on to the back bumper of Zach Rogers as they're trying to get past the 02 of Connor Edwards here. And to get
Edwards
out of the way
dives
there.
Into the grass to get out of the way, and he's going to spin that 02 car around.
No.
The Bauer number 02 Camaro spinning around, and I believe I don't know what happened there. It may have warped in and out. We've got 3 cars out of the race. Rich Roy, tough to see him retired from the race. Same thing for Tyler Stallhood, who will finish in 17th. Rich Roy, whose primary sponsor, the primary sponsor of this race here, Bummin Beaver Brewery, he will finish in 16th. 15 cars still out on track here, and Zach Rogers trying to pull away from Jolene Sims right now as we're about a fifth of the way through the race, and a fairly calm race all things considered. It's not calm for Andrew Estrada doing some agricultural work through China Beach.
Oh, Connor Edwards! Oh my goodness.
Edwards in the middle of the racetrack. Did he get a tap there from Focusato?
Almost.
We remain green. A tough break for Edwards as well.
Goodness.
Edwards still trying to get out of the way in that O2 machine. He's finally going to get a tow back. It's like Durbin doing some two-wheel work in the 86 along with Blake Warren. These two towards the tail end of the field. Kenny Compost and the John Surtees number 79 throwback next on the chopping block to be put a lap down. Zach Rogers out to the biggest lead we have seen any of these leaders have so far tonight in this young race. Coming around to complete 6 of the 25 scheduled laps here tonight. And right now, it's really just a battle between these two Camaros up in here. You got LaPrade back in here and another Chevrolet, as this has been a relatively Chevrolet-dominated race. Of course, you got the two Team Velocity teammates in LaPrade, who is an expert on the road courses. Same thing for Bishop, who's driving a Ford. Emi Schizzato has fallen a little ways back in the 9 machine, back to where she started in 6th. Make that in 5th, I should say. Focusato, actually no, back in 6th. Focusato falling back to 5th. RJ Bishop +2 from where he started on track. So the leaders will get around Buddy Compost with ease, heading down the back straightaway towards turn number 4. Sims trying to fight back on the back end of that 88 machine, Caleb.
Zach Rogers probably has some slightly better tires as he slips a little bit there as we head through these S's, but Jolene Sims doing a good job of just hanging at the back bumper of the 88 Rush, not letting him get too far ahead. As long as that 06 of Sims can stay there, maybe even an opportunity will arise for Sims potentially take the lead back, but as long as she can stay at the very least right there behind the 88 of Zach Rogers, that could definitely open up some opportunities as this race goes along, especially once we get to that cycle of pit stops.
Yeah, and that cycle of pit stops, these guys go caution. If this race goes caution-free, these guys are going to have to come down around 5 laps to go in this race, so that's going to make things very interesting in terms of the strategy. Do these guys go fuel only? Do they take 2 tires or 4? And we are within the window for these drivers to mathematically make it to the end. Here on lap number 8, these guys can make it to the end mathematically on a tank of gas, but with how worn out these Goodyear Eagles are going to get here this evening, I don't think that's going to be the play. Rogers and Sims have completely dusted LaPrade right now. LaPrade right now 10 seconds back of the 2 leaders who continue to be nose to tail. RJ Bishop, forget about it, 14 seconds back. Focusato 20 seconds back to round out the top 5. Little bit of a wheel hop there from Rogers. Sims trying to take advantage of it. Now Rogers is on the defense, but again, he has got a lot more experience than that 06 car, but both of these two just plenty of talent underneath the hoods and in the cockpit. Good part of the reason why they are still nose to tail and putting on a whale of a show for this race lead. Sims following right in that direct line at Rogers, and it's all going to come down to who's going to be able to outbrake who, especially in these tight corners off this racetrack. 13 turns here at Mid-Ohio. It's all just very, very technical. You saw the 06 nearly lose it in turn 1. Nearly lost it a couple of times. We saw the back end swing out going into the corner and had to catch the rear end of that 06 machine exiting the corner. Some impressive driving out of Sims. Only maybe lost about 2 inches on the track. And you see the back end of that Granger Camaro fishtailing out of turn number 2. That's how loose that setup is for Sims. We absolutely know she loves to run them loose, especially at a road course like this. One false move, one wrong flick of the steering wheel, and that'll likely be the end of your evening here. And in just a complete dogfight of a battle for the lead like this, you know, that'll likely be the end of the year race, especially when you're taking on a guy like Zach Rogers.
What a battle it has been here so far up for this race lead. Both Rogers and Jolene pretty much driving to 110%, both giving it the raw, and both giving off an incredible show here so far for Mid-Ohio as we're coming to complete lap number 9. They are still nose to tail. Ben LaPrade still doing a pretty sporty job here so far, running in a smooth 3rd position. He's absolutely two-wheeling that 74 Hershey's machine around here, and potentially maybe hoping for a bit of MBCS hillside action up front.
Definitely is, and just it's not the first time we've seen the 74 car
Oh,
two-wheeling that, and Jelaine Sims going off track. She's into the tire barriers. That was the mistake that we said you could not make. It doesn't look like that '06 car too much damaged. But like you said, we had half of the MBCS hillside nonsense. Of course, Sims got the worst end of that deal. Incredibly, it doesn't look like there's any damage on that Granger Camaro, at least on the outside. The internal stuff from hitting that tire barrier is going to be a much different story, but that was likely the battle for the race win right there, unless Rogers has an RNG moment. Hopefully he does, and I think the game already gave its RNG to Ian Cooper on lap number 1 of the race. But that is such a tough break for Sims, who was right on the ragged edge behind that 88. Connor Edwards stopped in the middle of the racing groove. He's going to hold up the 88 just a little bit, and Edwards is warping in and out. I know Zach was just doing his best. Get the heck out of my way. I don't want you to warp into me. But man, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for Sims, especially given how close she was in the back end of that 88.
Absolutely. That's such a tough break there for Jolene Sims, doing such a great job at keeping at the back bumper of the 88 of Zach Rogers, just a little bit too deep there into turn number 1, just a couple maybe tenths, hundreds of yards too late on the brakes, and just unfortunately sent that '06 off the track and into the tire barrier. Like I said, luckily it doesn't look like that '06 is badly damaged, if at all. Looks like she will be able to continue, and that thing is still up to speed, but definitely cost her quite a bit of time there. Have to see if she can maybe close back in a little bit, but Zach Rogers in that 88 is still dialed in right now. I'm looking to try and bring this home now that he has a pretty solid cushion now back to the '06 of Jolene Sims.
He definitely does, and Sims, who finished 3rd in last week's race at Chicago, still not within striking distance of the 88, but still within a realistic amount of distance as Blake Warren off track in the 12. Stay on the track, Blake. The caution flag has come out here for the opening time tonight. Somebody has gone around. We're not sure who, but that is going to completely flip this race onto its head. I don't see anybody going around, so I believe... I don't know, is this a competition yellow? Are you hearing anything? Or do you see anything on a replay? Because it looks like, for the most part, pretty clean and green so far. And tonight, as we're right at the midway point through this race, so it looks like these guys are going to cut this race in half in terms of the fuel strategy.
Really interesting there, and I think I might have found the culprit here. Got Ike Durbin, Brendan Whitford, and Trek Togger getting into it there.
Well, since we
the pit lane.
Well, we are past the midway point, so I will, because the last couple of races during replays, we've had these guys crash and had the game crash, and this is going to be a very pivotal point in this race to where these guys are going to come down the pit lane, and then it'll immediately get back to green flag racing. So I will show the replay of that incident at the end. So we'll stay live here for the most part, but it looks like those three were able to get back together. But right now, under our opening caution of the evening, and Caleb, I am very surprised. I'm also very impressed that we were able to go 12 laps without a single caution here with all the talent we've got in this field. It shouldn't be a surprise, but after how Watkins Glen started, I'm very glad to see these drivers put on a really respectable opening stint, and hopefully that'll be the only caution of this race, knock on wood.
Absolutely. That was a great start here so far to this race. Nice to go all those laps in there without a yellow, and even had a great battle for the race lead there going between Zach Rogers and Julian Sims. And I'm sure Sims is definitely very happy to see that caution flag, as that's going to group everybody right back up. If that 06 is damaged in any capacity, an opportunity here for that 06 to repair damage. So definitely going to be really interesting to see what everybody does decide to do here under the caution flag. But really going to shake things up here and going to make for a really interesting second half of this race.
Sims sliding through the pit stall. Of course, we see all the pit stalls slotted out here. Spaced out, I should say. 4 Goodyear Eagles going all the way around. That Spinebuster number 88 machine. Does anybody take 2 tires will be the important question. And Sims winning the race off the pit lane and nearly got into the wall. And Leprod was very close as well. And Jelaine Sims back out front in the 06. Taking advantage of that number 1 pit stall on that Granger Camaro. And Sims will be back out in the race lead for these drivers. How about that for Jelaine? Absolutely perfect pit exit. Didn't have to repair any damage at that. And Sims trying to go for the stuff on the tire barriers and win, as the field will catch back up to the Camaro pace car. We'll be going green flag racing next time by, but what a call from Sims, and looks like that might be the way to go, but we're going to close it in here. 12 laps to go this next time by. We're exactly at the midway point through this race. And this is where things are going to get very aggressive. Here's where these drivers going to make things interesting. You got Leprod back in the fray. Schizzato and Bishop right now rocking out the tail end of P5. You got Focusato looking to get some decent points in 6th. Nicky Conti 7th. Rafael Sorensen in 8th. How about Andrew Estrada? He is right now 13th, but he's going to gain a couple of spots here. Of course, these drivers bringing out the caution, doing a restart of shame. Caleb, this is going to end up potentially being one whale of an end to this race. The tail end of the field does not catch back up. I believe we might have one more pace lap here, but Caleb, nope, pace car is going off. Here we go. It's going to be one heck of a race to the end here.
This is definitely going to be a very exciting race to the end. This restart's probably going to be for all the marbles here. Green flag back in the air. Sims and Rogers racing down into turn number 1. Sims on the inside, going to clear for the time being. Dunlapron on 2 wheels once in there. But Sims now back out to the race lead. Dunlapron falling back a bit there in the 74. Saw under text there that he apparently
and RJ Bishop going around right in the middle of the racing groove. He gets hit by Rafaela Sorensen. Does that bring the caution back out? It does. We saw that happen live, and we knew these guys were going to get very aggressive, but remember, these guys race back to the caution flag. Sims is off course in the 06. She's going to spin around and lose a lot of spots. She's nearly going to get herself beached in the 06, and she is.
No!
A heartbreaker for Jelaine Sims, beached in the middle of China Beach. And that's going to completely open the door for these drivers as Rogers trying to win the race back. And that is gut-wrenching for Jelaine Sims.
Going to help the 06 off of the banking.
A big shout-out to Focusato helping that 06 Granger machine off of that embankment there, but that...
Oh, and Emi Schizzato goes around.
Schizzato around in the 9 machine. Nicky Conti trying to get second away. It looks like Conti not going to even get third at the line. And remember, all of these were 4 positions. Because the road course rules in fuel are that you race back to the start-finish line. So Sims and Rogers knew that was likely going to... That was going to be the race to who gets the inside lane right on the restart and gets that preferred line. They knew that they had to act, and Sims just not able to get things done. And she's going to fall all the way down to 10th, it looks like, on the pylon. And with the laps continuing to wind down, make that 12th for Sims. That is just, that is so gut-wrenching. As unbelievably gut-wrenching if you're Sims. And that's going to open this door wide open for the rest of this podium. I would say that Sims will likely come down the pit lane here because, hey, you might as well put 4 fresh stickers on.
Yeah.
But as that embankment, that reminded me, well, number one, it reminded me of Carson Hocevar a couple of days ago getting stranded. But that wasn't a next-gen issue. That was that one clip from 50 Ways to Die in NR2003, the TNT Man 93 vehicle, where you had one of them it was like Juan Montoya or Kyle Larson getting beached at Sonoma. That is exactly what happened. And there's a reason they call it China Beach. It's because drivers tend to beach their cars on that embankment, and unfortunately, it snookered one of the dominant drivers of the afternoon. A big credit and a big shout out to Vincenzo Focusato for helping out Jelaine Sims and sacrificing a lot of his track position to help that Granger 06 off of the embankment to give her a shot at staying on the lead lap here.
Uh-oh. Oh boy, we got split strategy at the front.
Split strategy is my favorite kind of strategy, and we have got quite a few of the front runners coming in and quite a few back markers staying out. It's Dunlap in the 74. Coming down, and we'll see if anybody takes 2 tires here, if everybody's going to take 4. If I'm Sims, I don't know, do you take 2 tires here to pick up some more spots? Focusato is out. Is it going to be a 2-tire stop for Jelaine Sims? And it's not. It's going to be 4 tires going all the way around that 06 car. Again, and that all started with RJ Bishop going around, got a top from Rafaela Sorensen, who now runs in 2nd. Oh, my Lord. Well, a completely new cast of characters right at the front end of the field. Of course, you've got Zach Rogers staying out. But how much did he use up those tires battling with Sims going into turn 3 is going to be my biggest question of concern. Turn number 4, excuse me. You got Rafaela Sorensen, Trek Togger, and Ike Durbin, who have been nowhere towards the front end of the field. They have been just barely straggling onto the lead lap. And how much does Emi Schizzato push? And same thing with Blake Warren. This is the highest I have ever seen Blake Warren run at a road course. Maybe that new number 12 has got some mojo going for it. Maybe he's got a little bit of a Ryan Blaney-esque win out of his rear tailpipe for this. But man, oh man, this is going to shake things up. It's absolutely going to shake things up here, Caleb.
Absolutely. This is definitely going to be one interesting restart, as we have the top 5 staying on the racetrack and everybody else on back coming down the pit lane. Down around the 74, they're taking an EOL back to the back of the field. And as I was saying there, when the 28 of RJ Bishop goes around, I do believe LaPrade has no 3rd gear. And actually, I also think that Sims has lost 1st gear as well.
Well, that's going to throw a monkey wrench into those two potentially getting up in the podium. But right now, Zach Rogers, the control car. Back through the gears we go. Green flag back out and away. 9 laps to go, and here comes the Oklahoma Land Rush. Schizzato in the middle of 3-1, and around goes Rogers. He gets spun out from the race lead. And the dominant driver of the entire night has been turned around, and we're back out to the caution, and everybody racing like ants to the front end of this field. They know that a win is on the line. RJ Bishop to the race lead, but again, we're racing back to the caution. Everybody's scrambling for spots.
And this race has just gotten completely flipped on its head. It was already there, tilted at an angle after that incredible cycle of pit stops, but now we got Bishop out front.
Oh, LeProd goes off course! He is able to save that 74, but he might be trapped on the embankment. That's more spots to be gained as now, again, Rogers racing back to the caution. He is trying to pick off as many drivers as he can. But it is a dogfight right now, and Jelaine Sims is back up to third. Sims up in third, trying to fight the 9 of Skizzato. Bishop gets light off of the corner. Skizzato gets into him. Here comes Sims. Nearly 3 wide for the race lead through the final corner, coming back to the caution flag. Bishop will round out in second as he gets loose through the corner, and Skizzato will win the race back for our 3rd caution flag of the evening. And holy Christmas is all I've got to say on that. That was the broadcaster's jinx. You know, and again, everybody realizing when that 88 car spun around, Caleb, it was like a record scratched. As everybody realized that it was now or never. Sims in the 06, back up in third. Skizzato, the race leader. I don't believe anybody is going to come down the pit lane. And again, we're going to replay everything after the race just to make sure that we get everything nice and orderly, just to avoid a crash, because especially given the race that we've got right here and right now. Last thing we want to do is force this game to crash. But holy Toledo, Skizzato, the race leader. Bishop in second. And again, we could see these guys. Do you think these guys are going to come back down the pit lane with this amount of track position? I highly, highly doubt it.
Good question. I think we could definitely see maybe some guys towards the back coming down the pit lane, but this is, like I said, this race has just been completely flipped upside down. And honestly, at this point, I don't know what we're going to see.
I have no idea either, as we're going to up the bit rate max just a little bit, because see, we've dropped quite a few frames in that time span, so that's why we were frozen there for a couple of brief moments. Skizzato is going to give up the race lead in the 9, and that is not going to be a good strategy. LaPrade and Whitford, as well as Durbin, will come down. And that'll give RJ Bishop the race lead, and I think Skizzato's trying to play the long run for this. Trying to take 4 fresh tires. And hopefully these guys will muck around for a couple more restarts. Goodness gracious. That's all I have got to say. And in case you're just tuning in, the entirety of the Bummin Beaver Brewery Mid-Ohio Grand Prix has just been flipped on its head. Both dominant drivers of today have been taken out in some sort of incident. Caution number 3 was brought out from Zach Rogers getting turned by Ike Durbin, it looks like, and that was just Durbin just trying to race for any spot that he could. Rogers, the deepest in the field that we have seen so far this season, of 7th. Jelaine Sims, remember, Sims doesn't have first gear, so this restart is not going to play into her favor. Bishop trying to get those Eagles warm. We got Rafaela Sorensen back in here. Blake Warren was able to survive. Trek Togger and Nicky Conti rounding out the top 6. But we have 6 laps to go. Do you think that's enough time for Zach Rogers to completely pull an angry Alexander Rossi and tear his way through the field. I don't know if he'll get all the way to the front, if he'll catch up to Jelaine Sims, but he's certainly going to try. And we have seen Zach Rogers manhandle these race cars before, and I think he's got a really good shot here.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, it's Zach Rogers, so I don't know. He might have a shot at this, but like you said, well, whether or not he can get up to the lead is up in the air. I definitely think.
I mean, betting against...
he's going to make up quite a bit of ground here.
I mean, let's be real. Betting against Zach Rogers is like betting against the Dodgers in this series against the Reds. Guess we'll check that score right here and right now. I know that's getting ready to go underway. Oh, well, the Reds are winning right now over the Dodgers. So throw the record sheets off the table. We got 6 laps to go this next time by. Bishop, Sims, the front row, Sorensen, Conti in row 2. Green flag back in on the air. 6 laps to go from Mid-Ohio. How much time does Zach Rogers have to catch up to all these drivers? Sims a little bit wide, swinging off for the corner, and around goes Sorensen. Takes out the 79, a multi-car crash in the back.
Caution back out. And for the lead.
For the lead, as everybody trying to scatter like ants. Here comes Sims to the inside of the 28 of Bishop. And look who's back inside the podium. Zach Rogers. He's got those 4 fresh tires. Trying to get around that 28 car. Oh, my Lord. Rogers going from 7th to 3rd in just a matter of laps as Rafaela Sorensen got absolutely killed in the back in there. Actually, I believe it was Kenny Campos that got pretty much destroyed. Oh, Bishop really squirrely through the corner, nearly took out the 88. Rogers trying to thunder to the inside of RJ. And Bishop will let him go through as Bishop let on the brakes right there, and Rogers is back to 2nd, coming back to the caution flag. And I think Rogers coming down the pit lane that last time by, the best thing that could have happened to him. And I don't think Jelaine comes back down the pit lane here. They're back to the caution flag, and yeah, from here on out, that's it. We've got no more cautions. We're going to be past the point of no return. When we come back through here, there'll be 3 laps to go when we get back to the green flag, so that was it. You have an accident. Caution flag is not going to be thrown out, but holy Christmas. You want to know the great thing about racing, Caleb? You really want to?
I don't know, man. I think I'm seeing it.
Just proves that time is a flat circle, and all you need to do is wait a couple of moments, and everything will just go in a circle, keep turning left, and everything will wash it back out in the end. And we are right back to where we started from in this race. Jelaine Sims at the front, Zach Rogers in 2nd, and Nicky Conti in 3rd. Conti was able to take that spot away from Bishop, who is giving way to the 88. Brendan Whitford in 6th, Trek Togger in 5th. What an absolute banger we have had so far this evening. It'll be 3 laps to go when the field will come back around as we get a wide shot of the field. And think of the adversity that both of these drivers have had to go through so far tonight. Sims getting into the tire barriers and then getting stuck on an embankment. Now finds herself in the race lead. A late race spin of Zach Rogers, who dominated after that mistake from Sims. He's up to 2nd. Of everybody up in here, Nicky Conti has had the quietest evening so far in that 85. Now, RJ Bishop spun around to bring out that 2nd caution. We haven't seen much of Trek Togger, but here we go. And like we said, like we expected, nobody... Oh, that was close there for Bishop. He nearly destroyed that Mobil 1 Mustang. He's going to come down. Rafaela Sorensen will come down as well. They are 2 lonely drivers But again, no cautions from here on out. Point of no return right here and right now with 3 laps to go. Rogers, what has he got? 2 lap fresher tires than Jelaine Sims? And how hard does Sims fight their teammate? That's going to be the $1 million question. Can the protege take down the trainer?
Boy, this is shaping up to be an incredible finish here from Mid-Ohio. And, you know, like you said, coming around here to 3 to go. This is it. This is going to be for all the marbles here, whether these guys like it or not, because after this, no more cautions, and it's going to be pretty much a straight dash here to the finish. And this is definitely going to be, I think, a restart and a finish for the Yetis here. Like you were talking about, the more things change, the more they stay the same. As we got Jolene Sims going to be leading them back, Zach Rogers in second, and definitely have to give a call there to Nikki Conti. Like I said, it's just kind of had a quiet evening, but sometimes quiet can be good. That 85 has pretty much about kept it on the circuit all night long, and now finds themselves up here in the 3rd position. This could definitely be a very, very interesting restart here as the lights are out on the pace car, and we'll be going back green here with 3 to go.
Yeah, and again, less than 5 laps to go. We got single file restarts. A big shout out. I see you, Tyler, in the chat. A big shout out to Tyler Stallhood for this cam pack we've got here at Mid-Ohio, bringing us the action. We are definitely enjoying this professional-looking cam reviews here, so a big shout-out to Tyler Stallhood for the track, the camera pack, and, of course, the entire Fuel Racing League. Here we are. Single-file race starts, and this is it. So for all the marbles, like you said, we're at the point of no return. You wreck now. It does not matter. That pace car is staying right at the entrance to pit lane, and those lights are not coming on. Sims started on pole, has had adversity. Same thing for Rogers, who has led the most laps of 12. Sims has led 7 so far tonight. Conti has led none. Coming back to the restart line, 3 laps to go. Here we go. Green flag back into the air in Mid-Ohio. And a good restart for Sims. A little bit sideways off of the corner. Can she shut the door on Rogers? He's got a ledge.
Sims going to have the preferred lane, though, here coming into turn 2.
Back through the corner they go. These two side by side, and Sims on the inside lane. Both of them bobble a little bit going through the corner. Sims right now looking pretty strong in that 06 machine, and Nikki Conti trying to hold off a hard-charging Emmy Skizzato, who came down the pit lane a couple of cautions ago. But Rogers, 2 lap fresher tires than Jelaine Sims. He is going to put all of that grip to work. He's trying to cut to the inside of that 06 car. Sims has got to run a couple of perfect laps. We've seen her make a couple of mistakes here tonight. Rogers, aside from a little bit of contact off of a restart, has been damn near perfect, nearly to the inside of that Granger Camaro. Trying to get a good slipstream there, coming up through the hill. Oh, a little loose to the corner there for Sims. That's going to be the avenue for Rogers. He might have the inside line, but he's going to hold back on it. Now it's Skizzato who is up to third. If these two make contact up in here, Skizzato is going to be in the catbird seat. 2 laps to go from Mid-Ohio, and the 2 Team Velocity teammates absolutely door slamming. There's no teammates here. The gloves are off as LaPrade 2-wheeling it through corner number 1. Sims and Rogers still side by side. Rogers trying to set up for that exit off of turn number 2. Nearly into the wall, nearly into the grass, I should say, and these two leaving Skizzato in the dust. It is a fight up in here with a lap and a half to go, coming around to China Beach once again for the penultimate time, Caleb.
Jelaine Sims doing well so far at holding off that idiot of Rogers, but Rogers is still just all over the back bumper of this 06 of Sims. Just one mistake is going to be the difference here from victory and defeat. But Sims doing a good job here out in front.
Oh,
But
Roger is trying to cut to the inside of the 06 car. They're side by side, and Sims able to get the run off of the corner. A really good save there out of turn 10.
Oh, Rogers with a big dive.
He trying to stuff it in deep. Sims not giving up any sort of room. Rogers just trying to look for an avenue underneath that 06 car. There's still nose to tail coming off here for the second and final time. White flag is in the air. 2.25 miles to go at Mid-Ohio. The gloves are off. Everything is off as Sims nearly off track. An incredible save once again.
Sims is Tokyo drifting that thing through turn 1.
Sims driving the wheels off of that Camaro, and Zach Rogers trying to keep his 5-for-5 streak to 6-for-6. He's still on the back bumper of the 06, trying to get a lane, but Sims continues to shut the door. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Sims out by about 2 car lengths ahead of her teammate. Through China Beach for the final time. This was the area that tricked up Sims. Midway through the race, she's through the beach with ease. Rogers still right at the 7 o'clock, a little bit tight out of the corner for the Bulldog. This race still far from over, half a lap to go. Sims out to the biggest lead we have seen so far tonight. Rogers now running out of daylight in the 88. He's going to have only a handful of corners to go.
Sims loose.
Through the uphill section for the final time. Sims by 4.5 car lengths. A big send out of Rogers. Trying to get to the inside of Sims. Sims closes it off. Leaves a little bit of room. She shuts the door on Rogers. Coming out of turns 12 and 13. Unbelievable. Jelaine Sims from the pole wins here at Mid-Ohio.
How about that?
From the pole to the tire
happened,
barriers
Jelaine?
to the beach and to victory lane, Jelaine Sims holds off Zach Rogers, and the Bulldogs protege will master him at the road course. Holy Toledo, what a damn race.
And every car from every team is coming around here to congratulate the 06 and Jelaine Sims. Wow.
Holy
That
Christmas.
was incredible.
A dogfight to the end. And you know, I think if Zach is going to lose to anybody on this grid, it's going to be to his protege of Jelaine Sims. And these two have been dogfighting in almost every race they have been in so far. They've got an equal amount of talent. And Sims able to best Rogers on the road course. And Rogers put up a valiant effort and a clean effort at that as well. Not many drivers would have resorted to racing it purely with the race cars and not with the fenders. And a great talent there out of Rogers and Jelaine Sims. Just getting it done in that 06 machine. And I really think she definitely owes Vincenzo Focasato a lot of credit for that as well. For being stuck on the embankment and Focasato letting her off. And having an absolute missile of a dogfight right at the end here. To get a first win in fuel. How about that? How about that?
You know, there's a term we say for this in the industry. Absolute cinema.
That was absolute cinema right there. And trying to do the John Force burnout there is Jelaine Sims in the 06.
There we go.
Got it done. Getting it done there for Sims. Team Velocity, 6 for 6 to start the season. First 5 were won by Zach Rogers, and today his teammate Jelaine Sims. Your winner of the Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio. That was certainly the most Ohio race we could ask for, Caleb. 4 cautions in the final 12 laps of this race. And an absolute barn burner of a battle to end things off here at Mid-Ohio as Sims burning it down here at the front straightaway. Continuing to burn that Granger machine down to the ground. I think she's content on burning it until the rear tires completely blow out. But what a race. What a finish. And from the pole, Sims leading 2 less laps than Rogers, but is able to lead the most important 3 laps of this race. Getting the job done here in Mid-Ohio. Initial thoughts on the race. What a race it was. That's road course race. That's stock car road course racing for you, Caleb.
Absolutely. Just what a spectacle that was here from Mid-Ohio. Like I said pre-race, we were definitely in for a very technical race, but a very fun race here tonight from Mid-Ohio, and that is exactly what we got. We saw a lot of great battles, a lot of great racing, and definitely quite a bit of action there in the second half of the race, and a fantastic battle to close it all off there between Jolene Sims and Zach Rogers. And in the end, Jolene Sims going to be going to victory lane. A very feel-good story there for Sims, especially considering the trials and tribulations that they had to deal with over the course of the race. Just, man, what a race here for Mid-Ohio. That was incredible.
That was an incredible race here as well. So we'll do our post-race interviews, and then we'll take you through every single incident that transpired in this race. But what a race to the end that was. And lost in the sauce, Emmy Schizzato, who came down on that final set of pit stops, able to utilize those fresh tires to go from midfield up to third. She'll be the first one that we hear from here in just a couple of moments' time. But we're going to send it downstairs for a little bit of post-race interviews here in just a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere. The second half of tonight's coverage getting ready to kick off here from Mid-Ohio here in just a couple of moments after an incredible Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Stick around. We'll get your post-race interviews here in just a couple moments. And we are back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, beginning our post-race show here on the North American Sim Racing Network after a wild end to the 6th race of the season, the Bummin Beaver Brewery Mid-Ohio Grand Prix here at Mid-Ohio. Trey Wright and Caleb Rose on the call with you. absolute banger of an end to this race. Here tonight, we got some technical difficulties on our side, so we're going to hold off here for just a brief moment, trying to hit the live button instead of the replay button, and that's part of the reason why we got a little bit of a fuzzy screen back in here. We're going to get things kicked off in just a couple of moments, but a race for the ages for these drivers. Jelaine Sims going to victory lane. We'll get the winner's interview here in just a couple of moments, but now we'll go to the third place driver, if I can get that correctly. The third place driver of tonight's race here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, driver of the number 9 machine, Emmy Skizzato. Emmy, got a copy of us in the broadcast booth? Actually, I forgot to put Emmy in here, didn't I? Yep, that is.
User was moved to your channel.
Alrighty, a little bit of embarrassment there on my part, but Emmy Skizzato, driver of the number 9 Toyota. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yep, got it.
Well, you certainly had quite the interesting race being behind these top 2 drivers in here, but we mentioned at the top of the show that this 9 Camry was going to be one of the dark horses that we're going to see all throughout this race. But you've been really, really good on these road courses so far in 2025. What's it like to race on these road courses compared to the strictly ovals that we see so far on the schedule?
I've raced the road courses for a long while. I'm way more than I have the ovals. The ovals were fun. Chicago wasn't, but it was fun. But it's totally different. Totally different the way you set up a car, the way you have to sway bars, the way you have to set up parts of the car differently from one another. You have to set up the right side one in a way that the left side and the other, and you have to balance them out so that you don't get to lose it too tight. It's really complicated still for me. First time I've setups for the ovals. I've raced ovals for about a year now. Yeah, it's still a little hard to attain the setup question. It's really different. It's very different, but I really feel more comfortable on short tracks, and on the oval side of the thing, I really feel more comfortable at Darlington and short tracks. They require a little more braking technique, so you can that you can get here from road courses. So that's one thing I've noted, and I've been running good on those types of tracks.
Definitely have been running really well, and you were able to get that win in the exhibition race at Pensacola a couple of months ago. But here, you got a couple of incidents right at the end of this race, and of course, Zach Rogers getting a little tap from behind to spin around. And what's the mindset where the dominant driver of the race gets turned around like that and everybody is just scrambling for positions? It's kind of like a record scratch and everybody just zooming towards the exits, and you're able to end up on top in that department for the brief time being. Just what was going through your head saying that, hey, well, I got an opportunity to race back and get some positions there at the end of this race?
It was the thing. First time in my mind was like, oh, well, now we have a shot, because RJ to have like second or third, I don't know now, and Jolene to have at first. So I thought, well, if the next restart stays green, they can have a shot of missing more gears, and my gearbox is intact. So if they lose gears, I might be able to pull away. I scrambled a lot, scrambled to get as many positions as I could, and well, fortunately I got. RJ made a mistake out of going into the carousel, and I got able to lead a lap at least. But yeah, that's what I think. You got the dominant driver of the day out. You have a shot. You go and take it. There's no mentality out of that. You got a shot. You got to take it.
You definitely had a shot. You were able to finish in third place here tonight, but going into Las Vegas next week, that was, I believe you were in the sportsman race for that a couple of months ago. What are your expectations and anticipations going into what is going to be an equally wild race in Sin City next week?
As far as the race, I think I ran pretty well. I was basically up with top 5. So I think I was running really well at the time. I couldn't capitalize at the end, but it's a mistake. It's a mistake, just those things happen. Running on New Novels. It's a flat track. So you gotta have a little more braking. So the sports race, I was more lifting. I think we're gonna have a shot in the top 5. That's what I've been aiming most of the times this year. So in top 5 as I can. Sure, they're gonna have a shot for the win at an oval. Capitalize on a good point stay. But yeah, that's fine. Realistically, that's a good point stay for us. Just aiming for a good point stay.
Definitely
if we can't have a shot at the win, then you will have a shot at the win. But
exactly.
You gotta learn how to race.
Oh, definitely. Just trying to get those solid point stays and just trying to get that experience as well. But Caleb, you got anything for our third place finisher?
Well, I guess first and foremost, just congratulations there on having the third place podium position there. That was an absolutely wild race, I'm sure, from both our end and your all's end, especially there in the second half. But great performance out there tonight, and fantastic job out there bringing home there in the third position.
Yeah, very much. Now I gotta learn how to run the ovals. That's my goal for the next few races.
Well, certainly having a great performance here this evening. Congratulations you to Emmy on a third place finish here at Mid Ohio, and good luck next week in Sin City.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna move her out of the room real quick and just move some
User
things
was moved out of your channel.
around on the desktop. As I should probably have TeamSpeak over here on the other desktop instead of behind the game, so that would probably work out a little bit more in favor here. But congratulations once again to Emmy Schizano on a third place finish in that number 9 Akiotos. I think I'm pronouncing that company right. Number 9 Camry Supra here this evening. Now going
User was moved to your channel.
to our second place driver of the number 88 Spinebuster Chevrolet Camaro, Zach Rogers. Got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
What's up, Trey?
Nothing much here, man. Is certainly an up and down race for you so far tonight. Let's start with the down. Let's start with the middle groove there. Right at the end of that opening run where you and Jelaine Sims were battling neck and neck, the two Team Velocity cars on top of one another, and then Jelaine goes head on into the tire barriers, and then after that ends up embanked on the grass right there over on China Beach. This is a very technical road course, and what were your reactions from your teammate having some issues like that, and how comfortable were you feeling after those incidents?
Well, Jolene don't really talk much during the race, so it was mostly just kind of joking around about don't do that again, because I don't know if you saw it, that one corner there that she missed the braking zone. I missed the braking zone with her. We both almost went flying off the track. So we were both giving it our all.
You definitely were. And then on that penultimate restart, you got a little bit of a tap from the 86 of Ike Durbin to look like, and that sent everybody into an Oklahoma land rush. And you were at your lowest point on the grid we've seen all this season. What goes into just trying to lead a cavalry charge at the end of that race where you've got only a handful of laps to go? These restarts have been crazy. What goes into just being hyper aggressive like that? Alexander Rossi angry at Indianapolis style, as we called it on the broadcast. Just what goes into that mindset where you just got a hard charge like that?
Oh, you got a hard charge, but you also just can't bump everybody out of your way. You got to be methodical and strategic about where you can set up your passes, and this track, has a lot of slow areas, so it's hard to really set people up. You kind of got to hope that they miss corners and get off the track, or they spin their rears too much. And I got lucky with RJ missed the corner there. I was joking with him. I hit the intimidate button on him. But he missed a corner there, and I was able to get up to second, which, was pretty good for that last restart. Unfortunately, the last restart was single file because that was our third lap one yellow. And it was kind of a shame because Jolene didn't have first gear anymore. If that was still a double file restart, I think I could have got in front of her, and it would have been her chasing me versus me chasing her there on those last 3 laps. But that wasn't the case.
Definitely wasn't, but you guys had a battle for the ages in those final 3 green flag laps. Caleb and I were losing our minds up in the booth. Just walk us through, especially that final lap and a half where you and Jolene were just going bar for bar with each other, trying to see who could outbreak each other in the corner. And just walk us through those final handful of laps. Anything you would have done different, or do you think you would have done everything exactly the same?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much different to do. Like I said, there's not a lot of big passing zones here. I got to her left side there in turn 2 a little bit. I tried it first in first gear on that initial restart. Couldn't get enough grip, too much spin. Then I tried it on the next lap in second gear, and it gripped, but the advantage in turn 2 was to be actually on the inside. And yeah, she just hit her marks. And there wasn't really much I could do. The few times where she maybe did make a small mistake, there really wasn't a lane to go, like to make a move without just completely dive bombing her and, probably door slamming her out of the way. And I wasn't going to do that to a teammate. I wasn't going to do it. I almost ran her over going up the hill there, the second to last left-hander there. I got into the braking zone really good, and I hit the brakes probably a little later than I wanted to, but I about cleaned her out, so I was happily surprised that was not the case. So, yeah, I mean, if I could really do a hindsight take, I would say after Ike spun me out, I should have pit under that yellow because we ended up getting one more after that, and I maybe would have had a better shot on better tires.
Well, of course, Jolene has really been kind of your protege over these last couple of months here coming into the Fuel Racing League, and you've been able to take her under your wing. What does it mean to you as kind of a mentor for Jolene, bringing her into this league and being able to race her like that? Not only at the end of that race, but just throughout that entire opening 12, 13 lap stint of the race where you guys were just neck and neck with one another. And how does it feel to see her, being able to get that illustrious first win here, and just some really tough competition, having to fight through hell doing so?
Yeah, well, I think I would say I'm very impressed because at the beginning of the race, she was using first gear a lot. She was sliding everywhere, trying to stay in front of me, and I ultimately got by her. And then I was able to just kind of stay in front of her. And then to her benefit, in a way, she lost first gear, so that made her learn how to drive the car with just second, which was mostly how I was driving it all night anyway. I wasn't really using first gear because you save the rears better. And she was able to do that and stay in front of me those last 3 laps. And we were both pretty much sliding everywhere. Heat cycled worn tires are no joke, especially on a road course like this. You're, basically that first lap of the restart, we didn't really have any grip. So you're fighting for grip. You're fighting to hit your braking marks, and you don't want to lock up either. I locked up the right front in one corner in practice, and you lose like 15% of the tire if you flat spot here at this track. So I'm very impressed. I've been sending her setups. I've been sending Ike setups. Obviously, Jolene's got a little more time with a wheel than Ike currently. So Ike's just doing his best to log laps. Ike's not a teammate, but he is on similar wheel settings to me, so that's why I've been helping him out. And then Jolene just really had, a good grasp of the setup. I don't usually see people beat me with my own Q setup, so I was happy in a way that happened tonight. So congrats to Jolene on the pole and on a great race. I wish I didn't wreck me because it would have put me in it would have been a much different scenario, but like I said, you can't change what's already occurred. So I just can't say enough about how well Jolene did tonight.
Yeah, she did awesome, especially just going through the amount of adversity that she went through, going into the tire barriers and then getting stuck up on the embankment like that. But you're really good. You were able to come back from adversity as well. So showing that, hey, Team Velocity, there's zero quit in that race shop. You guys able to get a nice 1-2 finish and duke it out. Caleb, you got anything for a second place finisher?
Well, definitely got to say, once again, what a performance out there tonight. What a race out there tonight. Sure, definitely you all were as well, but we were, like Trey said, we were absolutely losing our marbles up here, especially in that second half of the race. But just what a performance tonight out of you all there, out of that whole entire team. Both of y'all did a really good job overcoming adversity, and kind of funny because as for you, kind of after that spin there, it only took you like what 2 corners to get back up there into the third position. So that was a spectacular performance out of you tonight, like I pretty much about become accustomed to seeing out of you. So fantastic job out there, man, and just what a race.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that sucks is when you get spun, when you're racing people for position that are 5 seconds slower than you. They act a lot different than when you're lapping them. They don't want to pull over, and they do not want to give you a line because, it's just a different situation. So it's a little frustrating, but I managed to pick off a little bit of them there right after Ike had spun me, and then on the next restart, I was able to get pretty much the rest of them except Jolene. So, but yeah.
Yeah,
fastest car on the track gets spun out, and everyone acts like they're not the fastest car on track still when they're coming back up to pass them. But I'm just kidding around when I say that stuff. I'm not actually saying they should have gotten the hell out of my way or anything. I'm just kidding around with that one.
well, it's certainly just the Oklahoma land rush that we saw as everybody saw you that you spun around. It was kind of like the record scratch, freeze frame, and then everybody just loses their minds and head into the front of the field saying, oh my God, the dominant driver, the god of fuel right now was taken out. We all have a shot to win this race, but you're able to recover for a nice P2. We'll give you the floor to shout out anybody you want here on the NES Rent airwaves. You want to thank any sponsors? The floor is yours once again, my man.
Yeah, so far this has been bad luck week. I choked the win on Sunday, and then I got bumper grab Monday, and then tonight happened. So this is my best finish out of all those nights, though, so I will take it. I at least had a chance to rebound tonight. Got to, of course, shout out Jolene on the win, being a good teammate. We kept it clean pretty much the whole night. Actually, yeah, we did keep it clean the whole night. I don't think we touched once, so that's a great teammate right there. You just kept it clean the whole night. Got to shout out my painter, Cody Lamas, of course, for the great paint scheme. Got to shout out you guys for the broadcast. Of course, Tyler for running the league. He was not here tonight other than his quick little Derek Cope escapade, I guess you could call it.
Little starting park. Nothing wrong with a little field filler.
Little Derek Cope imitation. And then, of course, got to thank Ike for being a new admin here, and he did a great job his first night. I did help out a little bit with adding people laps and stuff to alleviate some of that stress, and it was a pretty good night.
Was a certainly really good night as Team Velocity going 1-2 here at Mid-Ohio. Well, congratulations to you on a runner-up finish. We'll see you next week in Sin City. That's bound to be a great race.
All right, Andre.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was Jack Rogers, driver number 88, Spinebuster Chevrolet Camaro for Team Velocity, making up half of the Team Velocity crew. Now bringing in the other half. I think I'd say waiting for this interview would be an understatement. This is going to be a heck of an interview up in
User
here.
was moved to your channel.
Jelaine Sims, driver number 06, Granger Chevrolet Camaro for Team Velocity. Got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, indeed. And that is all I've got to say after just one hell of a performance out of you tonight. And it started right from the get-go, getting the pole and leading the opening 6 laps of this race. But then the first of 2 incidents came through. You hit the tire barrier going into turn 2. And then on that second caution, racing back, you were stuck on the embankment. What was going through your mind going through that second incident, realizing, holy crap, I'm having a great race, and it's all gone down the toilet?
Oh my god. It was pretty sad, but I honestly, literally, I've been through this situation so many times. At that point, there's still, 10 a little less than 10 laps to go, so I was like, I okay, I think me and Zach were pretty fast compared to everyone else. So it's like, all right, I just gotta race my way back up there. And unfortunately, I don't know if you knew, but I broke my first gear trying to rev out of that.
Hmm.
So I know it's pretty. I'm surprised I could hold on to that win with no first gear, but I'm so happy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you definitely deserve to be happy, and of course, the second to final restart of this, the third to final restart of this race, you're trending towards the tail end of the field, and then you see your teammate of Zach Rogers getting spun around, and then the sheer Oklahoma land rush that started. You were right in the middle of that. You were able to get up and get to third in that just pandemonium there with Rogers getting turned around, but then Zach being able to trek back and you guys just having an incredible duel at the end of this race. Walk us through those final 3 laps of the race and just what you was going through your mind and what you were trying to not replicate from losing the lead in the early stages of this race and what you learned to hold him off for those final 3 laps.
Well, something that I did learn that I'm not sure that helped me is, well, you guys remember the last restart where I like broke way too late and I like got stuck on the banking. I literally I was like, okay, I gotta break a little bit earlier for each of these corners so I don't like overshoot it. Like I was just okay, I gotta break early and then try and get the exit off, which I think worked really well. But my lord, like Zach had such good entry speed into each corner. I had to move out of the way sometimes because I didn't want us to get run or I didn't want to get run over. So, but he was like he could break so much better than me, just a lot more confidence. But through the last like few laps, like really, I was just trying my best not to look in the mirror because I realized that that was what like hindered me through that first run. Whereas like I gotta just keep up with Zach and not get past, and that ended up in me making a mistake. So only 3 laps. I was just like, just gotta run it like it's a qualifying lap. 3 laps of qualifying and try and get it done.
You absolutely ran the hell out of your teammate there, and you talk about what it means to beat him because Zach has really been, Zach has really been your mentor for you. You've really become his protege here in the Fuel Racing League, and to go toe to toe like him with him like that right at the start of this race and right at the end, what does it mean to be able to not only go toe to toe, bar for bar with your mentor like that, but also to beat him right in his backyard at a technical road course like Mid Ohio?
Oh man, I that was his backyard. Oh man. I'm very stoked. I'm genuinely I'm so happy. I know like I'm fine like at racing, but I would never like there's some people, probably quite a few people that I'd say like if they're behind me that I'm like, "Oh no," you know. So I like it means a lot. It means so much. I work really like I obviously I do this for fun, but just I practice quite a lot. And especially on a road course where it's a lot more technical and a lot harder and being at a little bit of a disadvantage. Obviously, like some luck was involved, of course. I mean, I got stuck and I got stuck on track and then Zach got spun, but that was definitely a little bit of luck for me to get ahead of him. But I I appreciate the setups every week from him because I am fine at setting up my own cars. I do little tweaks before the race begins, but really just the base with that, like that's what immediately is like, okay, it kind of puts me on par, and then he definitely helps me out a lot with how to run the track and whatnot and like what to do for qualifying it, like stuff like that. Like that's how me and him were just like up 2 seconds on the field because we were helping each other out a little bit. So I'm really happy about that. It genuinely means a lot. I love racing and just I don't know. I'm so stoked. I speak a lot.
Well, you got the room to speak a lot. You absolutely be one of the best we've seen here in NR2003 offline, and you were able to get your first ever fuel win here in tonight's race. Caleb, you got anything for our race winner here? A first-time winner here in the Fuel Racing League for Jelaine Sims.
Well, first and foremost, I guess I just got to say congratulations on getting your first win here at Fuel Grand National Series, and just what a race to do it in too. That was an absolutely exhilarating race to start to finish, especially there in the second half. But my goodness, just what a race, what a performance out of you all over there. Self and Zach Rogers put on an absolute show out there tonight. So a huge congratulations to you. And just what a performance and what a way to get your first win. So congratulations.
Thank you, it means a lot. Hell yeah, hell yeah! I'm so happy. I wouldn't have thought in a million years because Zach is the like. Then he won every race this season until today. So I mean, I literally, if there's any race I could do, it probably may have been a road course. We'll see how Las Vegas is like, but man, I'm still so pumped.
Well, Las
Nothing
Vegas.
beats that first win feeling.
It definitely does, and it definitely nothing ever beats that. And just hey, we have Las Vegas next week. Caleb and I will talk a little bit more on that as we're going over our incident reviews. But Jolene, we're gonna give you the floor for as long as you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out, any sponsors you want to shout out here on the NASRN airwaves, the floor is yours, my man.
Just big shout out to Zach and just helping me out little bits. I end up like not being super active until like race day, but I always check up on like the steps he gives me and try and like work things out, try and make speed out of it, and just I appreciate like all the help. This beautiful league with all these nice people. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I found this league to be a part of and whatnot. It's very nice to be able to adjust to my cars there at the race, while also having a respectful like field of drivers that like actually care about each other. And also the broadcasting every race too. Thank you all. But that's about it. Very happy. I can't wait to watch this one back.
Definitely was one heck of a show. Caleb and I were pretty much we were screaming on top of one another in that final lap. You might want to turn down the volume on that final lap, but it was just an absolute barn burner of a race there between you and Zach. Congratulations, Jolene, once again on your first win in the Fuel Grand National Series, and we'll see what you're able to do in the Sin City next week for the Las Vegas race here coming at you in a week's time, but congratulations once again.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel. Channel edited.
I'm not sure what happened there, but nonetheless,
Channel switched. Channel switched.
I don't know what happened there. But nonetheless, Jelaine Sims, driver of the number 06 Granger Chevrolet Camaro, getting the job done here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. She is your winner of the Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio here tonight. Before we get out of Dodge, we're, of course, going to go over all the incidents from this race. But Caleb, just, again, final thoughts on this race. Just an absolute banger of a race. We don't see a lot of these bangers too often, especially on the road courses. You know, Watkins Glen, we knew from the drop of the hat that was pretty much going to be a Zach Rogers show from there on out. But tonight, probably the most competitive road course race that we have ever had here so far on the NASRN era of Fuel, but certainly just a heck of a race here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Just an incredible show here tonight from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. There, from the drop of the green flag there in the first half, we saw a fantastic battle there between Jolene Sims and Zach Rogers. They gave us a great show there in the first half, but then once we got that first caution flag and entered the second half of the race, like I said, the whole race just completely flipped on its head. The gloves came off and had a bit of chaos there and definitely shook some things up quite a bit. But in the end, ended up right where we started with a fantastic battle to close it out there from Jolene and Zach Rogers. And just what a story there, Jolene getting their first career win. And after probably the longest 3 laps of Sims' career right there, fighting and holding on over her teammates and trainer there of Zach Rogers. That was just a fantastic race, a fantastic finish, some fantastic battles, and quite a bit of chaos shaking up in there as well. Just can't really ask for much more in a race than that. That was just absolutely incredible.
It definitely was. And again, we harped the adversity that we saw from Sims, as you saw that we were going over our replays here. The amount of adversity that Sims had to go through to get to the end of this race. You know, we saw her getting into the tire barriers, as we'll review what happened for pretty much all of these cautions here tonight, starting that 3-car incident that brought out the opening caution. And there was this incident up in here between Durbin, Whitford, and Togger. That's ultimately what completely flipped the race on its head. As we take a look at the replay of the first incident of the night, we saw what happened to Sims, but then this is what happened between Durbin, Whitford, and Togger. Yeah, Durbin is trying to make it 3 wide and spins around, and Whitford will give him a little bit of a love tap there at the end. Nonetheless, that was what brought out the opening caution of the night. But after that, it was just a complete Oklahoma land rush to the end. And we saw so many drivers getting into so many incidents. And it was really this incident on lap number 14 was probably the second biggest incident we had so far tonight. And this all got started with RJ Bishop getting a little tap out of the corner from Vincenzo Focusato. Focusato turn that Mobile 1 car around, and that's going to jam up these guys in the tail end of the field. I saw Sorensen getting into the back end of the 28, but it was this moment right here. Hopefully the game doesn't crash. Well, that was good while it lasted. Good thing. Good thing we have the replay saved. And this is, NR2003. Might be.
That's why we waited to the end.
It's exactly why we wait. It's exactly that. Right on cue. The funniest thing. Hopefully this doesn't crash. I put it in real time for 5 seconds and it immediately crashes. That is, that's poetry. I think that is absolute poetry. It's this crashing that's starting to get me a little bit worried about the age of this game. I don't know if it's something on my part, but it's just every time I'm viewing a replay on here in real time, it's just the game crashes. I'm not sure what the issue is.
It just be like that sometimes. It happens sometimes to me as well.
Yeah, but here we are with Sims.
Me and Alex and everybody's already made it like a tradition to record the replays and everything after the race. So
yeah, but it hasn't started affecting me until recently, which is the thing that I'm mostly concerned about. It's now just on an every replay basis, so I'm not sure if it's something with my computer personally or I'm just kind of an idiot. But here we go. This was the biggest point in the race as Sims, we mentioned her talking about in the post-race show, both of these drivers overcooking it going through the corner, and then Sims just trying to gas it up, but there's no grip on the grass, and getting so much grass lodged in that gearbox, and you are basically sitting like a turtle up in there, and there is literally nothing that you can do. And of course, Vincenzo Focusato, we saw in real time pushing the 06 off, and I think Jolene definitely owes a fairly big steak dinner there for Vincenzo Focusato for helping her off of the embankment. But this was where the race completely went off of the rails here after that incident. And then, of course, we had another restart after this. And this is where things just completely, they were off the rails, and then this is where things just completely went sideways. Ike Durbin taking out Zach Rogers from the lead. And again, you could see the freeze frame right here. This was about where everybody realized, holy crap, Zach Rogers out of the race. And now everybody is just jockeying for position. You got everybody 2, 3, 4 wide in here. Everybody fanning out. Rafael Sorensen had it for a brief moment. And Rogers, to his credit, was able to get back up into here. But overall, a good recovery out of those guys. And I think we had one more incident after this right at the green flag. Yeah, it was the big one back in here for this last incident. I'm trying to remember who the first car to go around. I believe it was Rafael Sorensen. First one to go around. A little tap of the rear end there from Blake Warren. Sends that 42 car around. Kenny Campos hard, and just a hard shot there from Vincenzo Focusato into the back end of the 42, and nothing those two could do. Andrew Estrada with Focusado. Emi Skizzato, who ended up finishing this race in third, was caught up in that. They came back down the pit lane, and that was pretty much that, I believe. Yeah, that was our last incident that we had of the race. And then, of course, the finish of the race. Just an absolute blast between two of the top talents that we have got here in the Fuel Racing League with Jelaine Sims and the 88 of Zach Rogers. Team Velocity once again going 1-2 on the grid here this evening, and they put on an absolute banger of a show. And you want to talk about a banger of a show, Caleb? Las Vegas next week. That's going to be an absolute banger of a show. I cannot wait for that Las Vegas race coming at you in 1 week's time. What are your expectations for that other than just complete freaking chaos?
We saw just how fun Vegas was in the Sportsman series like you were talking about earlier on, but Las Vegas, another very fun racetrack. Definitely ought to produce a very interesting race next time out as well. Definitely really looking forward to that one as well over there in Sin City. Definitely ought to be a lot of fun, especially coming off of a race like this. Oh boy, just cannot wait.
Yeah, just banger of a race after like one another. We had a really good race in Michigan. Then we had the chaos of Chicago last week. And then, of course, an absolute barn burner classic here at Mid-Ohio for the Bummin Beaver Brewery Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Jelaine Sims getting it done. Of course, next week, the Desert Derby presented by Pets.com. Apollo Hyde, Brandon Whitford, and Corbin Wentz all sponsoring that race. The unofficial animal characters and anime theme next week, so we'll see a lot more brand spanking new, beautiful looking paint schemes coming at you there in 1 week's time from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 8:55 airtime here on the North American Sim Racing Network. 9 o'clock qualifying and 9:15 green flag for race number 7 of this still fairly young season. Actually, we're past the halfway point, so a little bit older of a season than we had, but an incredible race at the end, and Jelaine Sims getting the job done. So we go through your running order through the race here at Mid-Ohio. Jelaine Sims, your winner. Zach Rogers in second. Emi Skizzato rounds out the podium. Dunlop Prod and Vincenzo Focusado, your top 5. 6th was Nicky Conti. 7th, R.J. Bishop. 8th was Ike Durbin. 9th, Trek Togger. 10th was Kenny Campos. 11th, Brendan Whitford. 12th, Blake Warren. 13th, Andrew Estrada. 14th, Rafaela Sorensen. 15th was Connor Edwards. 16th, Rich Roy. First car off of the track. 17th was Tyler Stallhood. And rounding out the field at 18th, Ian Cooper with an engine failure. But on behalf of Tyler Stallhood, the entire Fuel Racing League, Caleb Rose, the entire NASRN, my name is Trey Wright saying so long from Lexington, Ohio. This has been a presentation of the North American Sim Racing Network here for the Fuel Racing League. We'll see you guys in 1 week's time. Have a great